So oddly enough, going into this manga, erotic, whatever, I saw the memes when it was spawned, and apparently it ended in 2016. All the "do not read this, this will change your," all that stuff, right? And you know, never gave it a second thought. I'm like, oh, if it's bad, I'm not gonna read it. Duh. I never did. The only reason I'm reading this now because I got a comment on my last video for work massage saying I should check it out. My list has basically been cleared because, you know, I've been on a dopamine purge, and I read this. So I'm looking at this comment here. It's 4 years ago. Should I even do it? Will it mind fuck me? I'm referring to wanting to read Emergence, aka Metamorphosis. I saw a subreddit post saying they're on chapter 19 and 20 of the fan edit, and this is of a 7-chapter series that I've read at least. That is insane. Even if the author itself was mainly focused on just violating, sexually assaulting Saki to her utmost limits and then breaking that beyond. I don't want to even venture what the fan edit will look like, but I feel like I'm gonna be curious enough, look at it, and then I'm gonna want to crave a bullet. But without further ado, let's talk about the series. Okay, so one thing I have noticed for sure, and I want to look up which one came first, the chicken or the egg, but I don't think it matters. It was the meme of the nerd girl walking, picking up a book, and it turning into a stripper, or turning into a hotter chick. Yeah, when I saw that, and I also know that in Japan, women darken their skin because it means they're more provocative. They have a couple of racial issues over there that I don't want to dive too deep into because, you know, that's not the type of video. But when Saki took that transformation, and my thing was that I want to find out was the meme first or was the erotic manga first? Because I have a couple questions either way across the board. This principle has been held up societally since the dawn of man. The manga crafted itself around that time period. It just resembles perfectly. Anyway, you start off with a story you've heard once or twice before, right? And I feel like the moment I read like the first page and the first caption, I knew like how ominous it was going to be, and I was just braced for impact. The very first page you log into and see what's going to pull up is like 28 pages of an innocent girl getting hardcore fucked. That's the first thing we see. So it's like, already, you know, can't say I'm surprised. I'm not gonna lie. What we have here is, I would argue, a continual rape fantasy throughout the entire manga, because she's so insecure by not having friends through her whole school career. She's starting to develop an internal monologue saying, I don't need friends because friends fucking suck. And then overall, she's like, wait a minute, I'm sad because I don't have any friends. Goes to her mom, gets her makeup done, she looks like a normal person now. And then one dude gives her a compliment. Next thing you know, she's drugged up, and Shindo, the main cook, that's his name, it sprinkles in like a couple rape scenes just for fun. Getting to a point now where it, like I said, it's snowballing. And when she goes back to school, he's blackmailing and say, hey, isn't this you? A photo of her walking out of a hotel room, and she would get in trouble or explode or something. Those guys are willing to do it one time. What's stopping them from ever doing it again, since, you know, they have the leverage over her, the blackmail? And what makes you think they haven't already spread it? It's a bunch of other questions here. And at the end, we found out they did spread it anyway, and they just blackmailed her because they wanted to rape her. It's right there. It's just written in stone, right there. Obvious. The only thing I would give this manga a problem with is there isn't enough breaks in between me to feel anything. There are no beats to make me feel emotion about her. Like, there is like a page or two where it's like, oh my God, you're a junkie. Get help. Get a job. What the fuck is wrong with you? That happens. But like I said, it's a page or two at most, and then boom, right back into the thick of things. The one thing I said they sprinkled on there for no reason was her father, and there wasn't that much lead on to it. Now, is there ever a good lead up to a scene of incestual? No. But if you're going to put it in your manga, it just shouldn't be, oh, kind of looks at her embarrassingly, smiles like, that's my daughter, and then he gets drunk after being laid off, and then boom, there's no build up, there's no tension, there's nothing there. It felt like nothing happened because the moment that happened, she gets kicked out the house, and then we never see their parents again, or even though that's like a major pivotal point in the entire story for itself. It was almost like, why even bring it up at all unless you just want to sprout it with the principle of, if it can get worse, it will get worse. Which in that sense, if you're going to do that, then you have to show the impact of this action, because they've done it in future arcs, right? Like, for example, all the way in the first chapter, when Hayato, her first lover, aka her first pimp, gave her that drug, I think it's Molly, ecstasy, something like that, while they were having sex. That pinpoint line had a butterfly effect that led all the way down to her doing hardcore heroin just to get off while she was pregnant. It's right there. It's a thematic element, it just shades all the way through. Whereas the father thing, it only popped up one time, and that was because one of her clients was an older man who looked just like her dad. And I feel like, I don't know, that is sort of implying that the dad got away with it scotch-free, especially since the mom was like, you fucking whore, slut, bitch, how dare you fuck my husband, even though the power dynamics there are like completely flipped and inverted. Like, it just, after that, Saki is on her second stint. Hayato does not give a fuck about her. He just wants his money. Again, he's just a pimp. When he found her in that gas station and drugged her, he had no idea this is going to be the future for in a few months. But when Saki had no other options, I guess no other family that would have cared about her, and even if she did have family, the mother would say, she fucked my husband, don't ever dare talk to her again or I'll cut you off. She was kind of homeless. And so I had to hit her up, and then the prostitution began. Now, there was a scene throughout all these clientele she went through and about where she was given the option of getting enough money to get out of her debt. And she was given the option, hey, you can take the money or you can take the drugs. And obviously, she's drugged out, takes the drugs, gets kicked out immediately. Now, I know I skipped a lot from her starting as a prostitute to then her getting kicked out from the pimp that hired her as a prostitute. We have a problem here again. Most of the scenes, like I said, are just, there isn't that much of a through line. Like, yeah, she gets tortured, but that's a rape scene. Yeah, she develops a drug habit, but every time she's on drugs, rape. The through lines that were representative of her character mythos up until that point of her getting kicked out was all the way back in school, where she was trying to befriend everybody else, but since she was being blackmailed, the guys didn't want her to leave, so she just had to hang around them all the time. And the girls got jealous of that, but they didn't know that she was just getting raped and blackmailed, so therefore they bullied her and tortured her. And then the dudes tagged along with that, because if they get on the other girl's side, then Saki would have no support system, nobody to tell, so therefore they can continuously start to violate her. It's a cycle. Am I the only one who feels this manga is pretty normal? You are basically dead if you play with a drug. Even if our police, they catch you. I read all 7 chapters and don't feel the girl deserves a better life in the first place. It's something better than the manga. Now, obviously, this guy's probably like 14, 15 years old, so I can't get that mad at him. Won't. This is Reddit. Why the fuck would I get mad at him? She finds herself down in luck yet again. She lost a tooth, and she got a duffel bag full of cash. I'm looking at this duffel bag here. That's got to be like, what, 40, 50K? Any sort of moment of a slow, non-rape scene, take a wild guess what happens on the next page. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually going to prove this point by just this image alone, right? Hold on. So the scene right before here, and I can't show any of this. So if you've seen this on the manga, then I guess I fucked up. I'm getting banned. There's a scene right before this, and after 12 non-continuous panels of her being pregnant, being raped, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, and then boom, we're right back. So the build up to her getting her money basically taken and beaten by a bunch of high school students, lead up to this was a homeless guy who just gave her drugs and then said, oh, this bitch is gonna die anyway, I might as well leave, I had my fun. Walks off. She goes back to Hayato's boss, tries to be like, remember me? And they all said, fuck you, you junkie. I don't give a shit about you. Go die. And then what's the next scene? She gets kicked and beaten by a bunch of high schoolers. And what do they say? Fuck you, you junkie. I don't give a shit about you. You should go die. So, like, you gotta switch it up. But we get to the end here, and it's after the high school students, or college students, I don't remember exactly. They're saying she's a whore, disgusting, junkie doesn't deserve to live, she should die, she should kill herself. Other logic lyrics here. And when she finally escapes and get away, I assume she does have the money given the end of the series. She picks up glasses she found in the street, looks in the mirror of a bathroom, breaks the mirror and saying, what have I done? What's the Linkin Park lyrics? What I... At that moment, she takes another hit and then promises to change her life for the better. And she does. Because at the end, you see her with a child that's about 4 to 5 years old. And at this point, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little scared because, you know, given everything's happening so far. Okay, so I want to address this right off the bat, since I've noticed in the rest of the video I have some correction. I have to address one thing. It's the concept that the ending that I reveal in the rest of this video is her dreaming that. Like, it's her dying wish to dream of a better life. It didn't actually happen. My issue isn't that there is too much rape. My issue is that the rape itself has no context, therefore there's no impact when you actually see a scene happen. The only one I can think of that actually had like impact potentially was, you know, obviously the one thing that made this man even worse, her father raping her, but with no context leading up to that, therefore that was meaningless as well. It feels like when he was writing this story, he had all the scenes planned out and just had to find a way to tangentially connect them one to the other, rather than like making the entire story and then throwing in the scenes in there whenever they make sense. For example, how is she able to go back to Hayato's boss, but she isn't able to see Hayato and have Hayato show disgust at her at what she's become, even though he's the reason why she is that way entirely? Like, if Hayato showed up, it would have made a more finalizing, clinching arc. It would have made her realize how bad and worse she's gotten compared to when they first met all the way back in chapter 1. It would have sealed the character arc. It would have made us realize, oh yeah, Hayato should die even more. You know what? Get a gun right now. We're gonna ball his salad. But instead, since we never see him after getting kicked out, we're just assumed to believe either he's dead or he just moved on. I wanted to see him to give this story a final wraparound. And overall, given all the heads ups I've read about this manga, I still think if you're curious about it, go ahead and read it. If you've watched this review and you haven't read it yet, then oh megalo. But I haven't exposed everything, just 99% of it. But go ahead and give me your thoughts on this manga. It's like 10 years old by this point, 12 years old, I have no idea. And I'll look at more comments and Reddit posts about this, 177013, and then call it a day. One thing I will say though, is Know Your Meme has an entrance of Emergence, which, you know, I kind of find interesting. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I'm gonna go fix that. Why is the internet so weird at this shit, man? I don't understand. Anyway, the point I wanted to get to is YouTuber Lowly Side uploaded a video called The Citizen Kane of Hentai. That's funny, especially since the video got deleted. That's so funny. What do you mean? Okay. Can someone like tell me what this guy said that led to YouTube nuking this shit off the platform? What did he do? Did he just show like lowly shit on his screen or something like that? How did they remove it? Holy fuck. Long story short, I think half the people who read this are just not normal. They need to go to prison, they need to go to jail, they need to, but the other half are like generally scared, traumatized, actually care about Saki, which, you know, I respect that you're a human being, you know, I respect your feelings. Yeah, this comment's interesting though. Let's just ignore the I have to boast and brag that I'm very tough and bravado visage this person gives off. As far as stories go, it shows a lot of brutal realism, which is quite literally talking about sexual assault, which is quite counter to what many shows portray, even if they're trying to do so. Society in America, at least to me, doesn't truly portray reality in media too often, and I can say with first-hand experience that a bunch of people thrive off of making other people's lives end up like this or worse. People on the street you think are disgusting were most likely dreaming of being a teenager trying to fit into society like most of us. Everyone wants happiness in the end, but the truth is most of us will never get it, and some of us may die before we even have the ability to try. So if you ignore the very first sentence of this entire post, which I know he's lying because you don't have this much insight if you're just streamlining gore to your fucking brain, this is redeemable. Like, he got the very surface level through line the man wanted to display. It's that, yeah, this shit's fucked up, and at the end of the day, it's very common. It happens a lot, and sex trafficking is very serious. Now, I say surface level because it's with a side of, isn't rape cool? So, if you ignore that part, then I feel like if at least like 10% of people who read this manga have this thought afterwards, hey, maybe the world isn't as fucked up as I think it is. Now, of course, alright guys, I'll have an outro, but if I did, it wouldn't matter because let me find the video. Good night. Oh, I actually read it. I read Emergence. Overall, solid like 6.5 out of 10 if we're gonna rank it for real. But yeah, end of the day, you gotta weigh. What a day.